Welcome to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige Imprint, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. Y'all, it has been the most surreal, unreal few weeks on the podcast with Sarah and Lena and Samantha and Catherine. I could not be more grateful for the guests that I have had on the show with me, but we're back with another solo episode. There are plenty more guest opportunities here to come, so fear not. If you love a guest episode, so do I. There's more where that came from, but for now, I'm here needing something from you today. I'm here with a little bit of something different. I am here with hyper-specific book recommendation requests. These are very specific things that I would love to read in a book. And if you know if that book exists, please send it my way. If it doesn't exist and you're an author listening, would you write it? Pretty please, ? These are just a few things that have come to mind so I've been thinking a lot. That's the deal. Let's stop mid-sentence and start over. I have been thinking a lot about some super specific experiences or I've experienced or experiences I've heard about that I would love to see as a conflict in a story or a primary character trait in a story, etc. And I'm here requesting recommendations for those today, and I would love to know what your hyper-specific book requests would be, either in the comments, DM me, whatever it may be. But I thought that this would just be fun to see, one, can you help me? Two, maybe it'll get your brain going. So I have a huge list here in Notion of books and plot points I would love to see. So I'm just going to dive into it, but I'm going to share 3 things that inspired this particular podcast episode first. The first, which will be of no surprise to anyone, is the 7-Year Slip. The 7-Year Slip, to me, first, is everything. Y'all know this. I love The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. She's gorgeous. She's stunning. And to me, what the book is trying to express, to me, is the concept of change blindness, where someone changes so much over time, but so little day to day. So it's hair growth or getting taller or anything of that sort. You change a teeny tiny unnoticeable bit every day, every week, every month. But when all of those teeny tiny changes are added up over time, it turns you into an entirely new person, or your hair's longer, whatever it is. I feel like that's the gag of the 7-Year Slip. Change blindness. It's not a simple concept, but it's one human experience thing that is turned into this entire story. I love that. Another one, Gray Area by Kay Cove. The entire premise is around our leading lady, Celeste, who had a super big falling out with her childhood best friend, because her childhood best friend essentially had to have that unbelievably difficult conversation that I think more people have had than we realize, which is, hey, your husband is the worst. I cannot watch you continue to go through this. If you cannot get out of this, I cannot be here to watch it happen. So her best friend had to tell her that. Her best friend ended up passing before Celeste had the chance to tell her that she had left her husband. And Celeste is ultimately left her best friend's unborn child via surrogate in her will. So it's one simple, semi-universal conversation of, hey, if you do not leave, I cannot watch this. I feel like I've talked to a few people since this book is released, and it's yeah, that's a real conversation that's happening to many people in many different situations. So that was another one. The last one is actually my most recent read, Burnout Summer, Jenna Ramirez. And Burnout Summer, I'm still trying to put my finger on exactly how to articulate it, and I will have it in my recap episode, I'm sure. But walk with me. It follows our leading lady, Cam, and it's third person single POV. So we're getting her lived experience, right? But she was a part of a 5-person friend group in college and was dating one of them. They ultimately ended up breaking up the last semester of college, and the friendship dynamic changed. Yes, one, because of the breakup, but two, because like college was over. So the college friendship was no longer what it used to be. And then on top of all of this, the guy that she's falling for throughout this story is another guy from this friend group. 3 guys, 2 girls. And it's just fascinating. Like, this is where I'm struggling to kind of unpack this with you, but it's the perceived place you have in friendships and the perceived importance of both your circumstance and other people's circumstance, and like selfishness in friendships, but also showing up for people in friendships and how friendships evolve over time. That is what Burnout Summer is about to me, and it's tea. So I think the core concept here that the author was exploring was, how do friendships change over time, specifically quarter life crisis age, post-grad, etc., especially as you're coming of age. So fascinating concept. So those 3 books have this to it, and there's plenty of other books that I've read that have something like this, but I love when a story or a romance book has an underlying other thing to it. So that's what has led us here today. And here is my first request. Here's my first request. It's a little vulnerable and admittedly a little personal. Not all of these are personal. This one is. Let's get real on the podcast today, shall we? So I would love to read a story where the FMC, our leading gal, has changed so much. Like so much. That she feels as though she's entirely unrecognizable. However, she still loves the version of herself she was and misses some things about that version of herself, but also loves who she is now. Yeah, I know that that's a little personal, but what has brought this to light, if you're like, hey, what's going on? Let's yap on the pod. Let's get a little personal on the pod, shall we? So I have had a very, very, very busy spring to summer. I've been traveling a lot, April and May. And what I have discovered in a very real way is that I am the introvert final boss, is how I feel. Like, I used to be such an extrovert. I thought forever I was an Enneagram 2. Like, I loved people. I loved hosting. I loved being there. Like, I love feeling important, like to other people and needed and all that stuff. And I just loved group settings, group hangouts, camp, opportunities, that kind of thing. And we'll get there. That was who I was. I was also like, anyway, let's leave it there. Now I know I'm an Enneagram type 1. I do not recharge in a group full of people. I need time to recharge after spending time with people. And I think like the Enneagram type 1, like I have a desire for perfection. Like it's just totally shifted. Like the feeling of being needed is just no longer of interest to me. Like I just feel like I've changed a lot. Like a lot. And it's really come to light when I'm taken out of my usual environment of, work from home by myself. And I'm up and around traveling. I was on a retreat. Loved retreat. If any of the retreat girls are listening, hello, I miss you. I love you. And doing things like that in like doses and then going to your room and recharging and resetting is fine. I just think like I've been out and about a lot lately. All of this to say, I deeply love who I was. And there are things about her that I admire that I wish I still had. But I also deeply love who I am. And I've spent a lot of time investing in becoming this person and loving this person. And so I just feel like there's something there. If you want to borrow my story for a really strong, interesting FMC story arc, or MMC, either way is fine. But how do you reconcile who you were with who you are? And also I think just there's like this element of aging where you're expected to be embarrassed or ashamed of who you were. And I just don't feel that. Thoughts? Comments? Recommendations? Let me know. Is that too serious for the podcast? I don't know. Let's keep going. I would also love, just to keep the personal things going, a really good, accurate OCD representation. I don't talk about this a lot anywhere, but OCD is something that like consumes my life. Emotional. Gosh. In like such a major, massive way. And it is like an invisible thing and an invisible truth about myself, and the like daily struggle that I have with it that no one knows about, like except for my husband sometimes, is just like wild. And to have this like invisible thing that keeps me from being able to like, I don't know, what feels to me like live normally, detrimental. We've been seeing a lot of MMCs with OCD lately, and I love them down. But I would just love to see a really strong FMC who is on an OCD journey. I would happily sensitivity read or give any information as needed. And OCD looks very different to everyone. But I think, you know, we've been talking about this online, I feel like, a lot as of late. But OCD is not a like cleanly, or not always a cleanliness, tidiness, whatever. I do love being clean and tidy, so I could see how that could kind of translate. But what I struggle with has nothing to do with that, and everything to do with all kinds of other things. Like the best example is, I will, like, this is just very simple, but it's like this impacts my life, is I will drive out of my house. Like I'll drive out and I will get to the exit of my neighborhood, and I will be like, did I close the garage door? And if I didn't close the garage door, did I close the back door? Because what if the dog got out? Okay, well, if my dog's out, I need to go back. And it's, you know, going to save a lot of time if I just go back in case she actually did get out and I did leave the back door open and I didn't close the garage door. And then, like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So then I have to compulse. So that was the obsession. The compulsion is to turn my car around and, you know, go back and see if I actually close the garage door. 99.9% of the time I have closed my garage door, but the one time every 5 years that I hadn't closed my garage door, it just restarts the cycle all over again. So that's a very, very simple, singular example of very simple. Like that's the tip of the iceberg. And I'm lucky if I don't have to turn around at the exit of my neighborhood twice. Like, this is not, like, I will go check and then go back and it's like, oh, what if I missaw that? What if I was wrong? Did I even look? And I'll, like, go back. Like, things like this. Is this too deep for a podcast? I don't know. I'm just a little vulnerable. But I'd love to see some accurate OCD representation. So, I also wrote down, like, a few of my favorite, like, recommendations and books and FMCs that I love and what I love about them and I'd love to see more of. So one was Molly Luck from Cash by Jessica Peterson, and I have felt like she has been a bit of a controversial character, and I suppose I understand why people feel that way, I guess, but also I don't. She is that girl. Molly Luck to me is that girl. She is, I don't know, like, I loved how hard she worked and how much she cared about her business, and she fought for it despite, like, the way she grew up. I don't know, and people had a lot of preconceived notions about her and assumptions about her based off of, like, her past or her family or her perceived situation, and it didn't interrupt her willingness to work hard, and she didn't let people's stereotyping of her affect how she ran her business. Drama, love. Yes, love to see that. So that was like one of my favorite types of FMC. We don't see them a lot. They're heavily criticized, and I feel like that's why we don't see them a lot. I'm looking at her right now. Love you, Molly Luck. So, just a thought there. Let's get more FMCs who are strong business women. People are making assumptions about them, and they defy the odds. Would love to see it. I also loved, as we know, Eden from Whistleblower by Kay Cove. What I loved about her is, like, she's gentle in a cruel world. Like, she is HR for assassins. It doesn't get more foiled than that, in my opinion. And I would love to see more really strong, gentle characters. I feel like we're getting there. We're getting there as a society, I really do believe. But some of the more gentle characters end up leaning damsel in distress sometimes, not always, sometimes. So I really liked that she was still like a boss while being gentle in that environment. I want more recommendations. Here's one, and I am offering this. All I ask is that you tell me if you're writing it. It's a magical realism or fantasy book, but I'm leaning magical realism, where somehow manifesting is like legit. Like there's a way to do it early. Some people can do it, or there's something to this. And I know what you're thinking. Manifestation is real. I think this too. Okay? I believe this. I love a manifestation moment. I would just love like a magical realism book that really like heavily leaned into manifestation as something that there was a formula to somehow. I don't know. I just think it would be fascinating. But that's just me. So, thoughts? Does this exist already? I'd love to see it. Another one. I would love a romance where the FMC is a bookstagrammer or bookish content creator, and they are trying to, I have written down, separate reality from fiction, which I get, but like, I'm not even saying like she has unrealistic expectations because of her books. It's not that. It's just like maybe she's trying to sort through like what she likes in someone, or like is that different from her preference in books? I don't know. There's something to it. I'd love to see it. I think it would be interesting. Very similarly to Breakout Summer, I just saw a TikTok about this. And so I was like, this would make a great like singular concept for like a B plot line aside from the romance. But what I have written down is phases of life commentary and outgrowing friendship. So I feel like your 20s is that time where you can have 3 people in a room of the same age. One is single, one is married or engaged, and then one has kids. Like, it's just like you're in a totally different phase of life, but you're the same age as people. Let's unpack it. And it's like, where do you find the commonalities with these people who like maybe you were all in the same phases like in high school? Like, because in high school and even a little bit in college, like you're set up to be in the same situation as someone, but the second you leave, your lives can depart on all these different journeys. And I just would love a story where it's either like having to decide that you've outgrown something and move on, or on the flip side, deciding that the different phases of life can't impact a friendship. I could go either way on it. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's like an extremely complex situation. And so that's why I'd love to see a book on it, because it's so complex. Love. What else? Oh, this is an interesting one too. Another like just random. I was actually reading a article about this. So that's how I got this one. But discovering hard truths about an authority figure. What I mean is like the article I read, this girl had like been obsessed with her grandfather, like obsessed with him. And he was the best person in the world, and they were like really close and all these things. And then she found out like some things about him that disrupted that reality. And it's like, how did that impact A, her own memories, and then B, the continued relationship with that person? I think that could be tea. It could even be between the main characters. I'm not exactly sure. So, thoughts there. I have written down, and I feel like this has been done, so I just love recommendations for it. Isolation that like moving away from home has on you, but like maybe if you move like with a friend or for a job or something, so you have like one corner of your life that has built-in stuff, like whether it's coworkers or the friend and their family or whatever it may be, but everything else you've had to completely start over. And it's like, well, I'm not actually alone, but I feel alone. I'm alone if I don't have you or this job. I think that would be a really fascinating storyline as well. Am I losing my mind? Am I making sense? Are we having fun? Oh my gosh. I pray. I hope. I'm having fun. Hope you're having fun. So this one I wrote down. I've been curating this list for quite some time. But you know the trend that was like, no one's coming to save you. And one of them was like, my sister's coming to save me. It was a little brother. It was like, my sister's coming to save me. No matter what, no matter how different I am from her, no matter how much she doesn't understand me, she's coming to save me. Oh. As an eldest daughter, I cry over that. But like, I would love to see I'm so different from my siblings. We have such different, whether it's like beliefs, religions, like, I don't know. There's something to this where it's like, I have a really hard time understanding you, but my love for you as a sibling or as an eldest sibling trumps all of that. I could see a really strong third act coming out of that where it's like, but your brother is mean to you or whatever. It's like, I'm going to save him. And you're not going to understand, but like, him being my sibling overruns all of this. Like, I can, well, y'all know I can't picture things, but I just can walk. I can imagine a third act that played out that way, and the third act conflict being that the FMC or MMC doesn't understand why the other one is going to save their sibling, and it's just like that complex feeling. I'd love to see it. I have a story for you. Okay. Am I going to tell this on the podcast? This is a crazy story. Like, this is a crazy, crazy story. Okay, I'll tell you. But I would love to see this written into a book. And this is for the morally gray girls, okay? I'm at a bar with a friend. Or with a few friends. This was a long time ago, allegedly. And the friend of the friend is there. And they're telling us about this guy that they're in a situationship with. And I'm like, okay, I'm just here. I just work here, as I say. And she's telling us she's been in a situationship with this guy forever. She's obsessed with him. He's just not obsessed with her back. And she's the psychology major at where she goes to school. And she says, so I have a plan. Or I've been executing this plan. And we're all like, what plan? She had been, like, whenever she was with him, would place a nicotine patch in the center of his back where he couldn't, like, reach it or notice. Like, she just, like, tricked it onto him somehow. And eventually he was like, I don't know what it is, but every time I'm with you, I just feel different. Like, I just, like, and she, dare we say, allegedly made him addicted to her. Hey, that's crazy. I never saw this woman again, ever. And she really shared the story as if it was innovation that excites. And I am here today to say, I think that needs to be written into a morally gray romance somehow. Is that crazy? I mean, it's a crazy story. But is it so crazy that I'm not saying I want it in a book per se, but it's like, it's too perfect not to be in a book. You know what I mean? Man, I will never forget that. Man, yeah, it's like he's addicted to me. Diva. He is. You did that. Parentheses negative. That was crazy. I'll never forget her. I don't know her name, but I'll never forget her. I need to try to find her, see what's going on there. But yeah, there's so much wrong with it. Like, there's so much wrong with it. But it's like so wild of a concept that I'm like, someone's got to write it. So anyway, if you read it, let me know. I think that's literally insane. Now, here's some like not harder to come by ones, but things that I really love to see and would love more recommendations for. Y'all know I love the like class clown funny guy who has a sad past. I have talked to a professional about it. It's being unpacked. Everything's fine. I just love a Gibbsy sort, a little bit of a Theo Silva style. There's many such cases of this, but I want more cases. I want him to be like so freaking funny. And then you get to his POV and you're like, I think I'm going to cry. There's just something about it. I'll eat it every time. Eat it every time. I'll read it every time. And I'll eat it up every time. A little bit of both. Guys, is this episode a nightmare? I don't know. Please. Okay, next. Nearly silent MMCs. But I want his POV. You know what I mean? Because we get that in the Predator and the Reaper from Runix from the Darkverse series, but it's single POV. I want his POV. I want to know what he's thinking up there. But I do get that it adds to the allure of the silent MMC when you don't know what he's thinking. I don't want to be that out of control. I do want the POV. Another situation of this is King of Envy. He doesn't speak, but he signs. So that's like an interesting take on this as well. Another one is Easy Out by Ginger Walls. So I do, that's like a total opposite of, like, I just did two total opposites of like funny guy, loud guy, class clown, and then the silent guy. I love them both. Oh, the duality of man. I would also love, here's another two sides of the coin. I have been loving where it's like a brother's best friend or something, but like she thinks that he hates her, right? She thinks that he can't stand her the whole time he's been in love with her, like for a long time. Love it. I need more recommendations. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. I know I've read it, but it's been a while, so I need more of this. Where she's like certain he hates her and he's in love with her. Grabby hands, give it to me now. Another one. This is a bit of the opposite, but kind of similar. Y'all know this, but I just want to reiterate. I love She Falls First. I love She Falls First so much. I love when she has left him for a very long time and he finally gets with the program. I totally get why we love He Falls First. I'm always going to eat it up. I'm always going to read it. However, She Falls First, entirely underrated, not done enough. And I think there's just so many angles to She Falls First. I really do. My most recent one of this is The Playbook by Erin McKenzie. Had a fun time with that. Really good stuff. Sable Peak by Devaney Perry is a classic case of this, and y'all know I love it. But She Falls First is so fun to read for me, and I just love it. So, need more of that. And then my last thing, which is, I'm a frequent flyer requesting things like this, but I love when a like strong man cries. I really love it. It just like, it hits. I think it hits for everyone. Like, I don't think this is a unique experience, and I'm not unpacking that with a professional. I just think like it is such a like powerful moment, especially in the third act. I'm thinking right now about On Lover's Lane by Samantha Young, where she comes home and he's sitting outside of her apartment thinking, I think he thought she was with someone else, if I remember correctly. And she comes back and he's like so relieved, he cries, but he's like a like pretty strong, like more stoic MMC leading up to that. Hey. Oh. Wow. Love it. Merit by Devaney Perry. Another case. But I need more. I need so many more. And I love it. So that's my truth. Those are a few of my like really, this could probably be a part one because I come up with these so regularly, and there's just like, I think there's just so many like small phenomenons, like, you know, the change blindness or the how do college friendships change. Like, I think there's like so many questions or concepts or phenomenons that could be very easily woven into a B plot and foundation of a story to just zhuzh it up. And I think it's so fun. So, I feel like this episode was a little bit out of the box, a little bit vulnerable, a little bit wild. Maybe not, but for me it was. So, let me know if you have any recommendations for me after this episode, or if you have any thoughts or comments, or it's like, hey, Diva, never do that again. And that is totally fine. But yeah. That is enough from me today. We're doing good on time. I'm yet again recording the day before. That hasn't been happening with the guests, but I have another guest slated to come up for you, and it's already been recorded. Anyway, it's a whole thing. The schedule is crazy. I'm going to France in June, so I'm going to be pre-recording a lot of stuff as well, so stay tuned, and I may have y'all vote for some topics there, but anywho. I'm going to cut myself off. Thank you as always for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.